Hey guys, it's Devin and welcome back to my channel. Hopefully this visual is gonna be better than my last video. I'm really trying to get used to this camera. But anyway, today we are gonna talk about ADHD and strategies that help me as a mom, as a wife, someone running a house with a very shedding dog, how I kind of stay on top of things. So I have not officially been diagnosed with ADHD. I just have my own suspicions. My husband has, and we struggle with similar executive functioning skills as well as disorganization and just kind of keeping it together. So I'm gonna let you guys know what I do and what has helped me to keep my life together. And yeah, let's just get into it. So I took some notes. First of all, how cute is this notebook? I got it at Barnes & Noble with a gift card. And I'm kind of obsessed with it. It makes me feel like I'm in a period film or like a poet or something like that. I love it. I'm distracted. Okay, let's continue. So first of all, I'd like to start by saying that there is never going to be a organizational system or something that you put in place that is gonna 100% work 100% of the time. That just doesn't happen. And that's where I used to get really frustrated is I feel like I would go over to other people's homes and they'd always be so organized and put together. It didn't seem like a struggle for them to keep their lives together. And for me, basic tasks like that were extremely difficult. And I would do organizational systems. I would label things. I would declutter and go through my whole house and put all of these little bins and organizational structures in place, and they'd work for like 2 days and then they would fall apart and I would get so frustrated and confused. And I've learned from that to, first of all, stop reading like advice books on organizational skills if you struggle with this type of thing, because those organizational strategies are not going to really work for people with ADHD. I read in a book that if something is more difficult than walking into the door and taking your jacket and throwing it on the chair, if it takes more effort than that, we're not going to do it. And that is literally true. That was like an aha moment for me, that I needed to put structures in place in my home that were extremely simple. I didn't have to go crazy labeling things and creating perfectly organized spaces that were beautiful Pinterest-worthy spaces, because if they were too hard for me to put into practice, then they would just never be used. So what I've learned in doing research and trying things myself, the simpler, the better. So that was my first thing. Keep it simple, drop spaces. So I have found that I will find specific areas in my home that were becoming a clutter spot. Right when I walked in my door is my dining room table where I'm sitting right now. And I was just throwing the papers on there, backpacks, jackets. The moment I walked in the door, I just kind of threw it where I was and then continued on and forget. I'm like, I'm gonna put that away later. And then I would forget to, and then it was just an addition to the cleanup that I had to do at bedtime. So what I found as a great option was to put a giant drop bin by my door. So I have this big wicker basket where I'll put stuff like my daughter's bag of snow boots and snow pants that I don't want to put away in her closet because I know she's going to have to bring it back to school in a couple days. So I don't want to put it away, but I don't want to leave it out in the middle of the hallway. I have a small house. So I take it, I put it in the bin. If there's a pint of paint that I'm going to be using in the next day or two that I'm going to be painting a room or a surface, I will put it in there instead of putting it away in the garage, because it's something that I'm going to use. I don't want to put it away. It doesn't have a location where it's supposed to go. But I want it to look tidier and not just be left out. All of that goes in my drop bin. Also, I would collect piles of papers. So I bought a little caddy for my papers. When I first walk in, as I'm walking inside from the mailbox, I'll immediately throw away the trash mail that I'm not gonna need or look at. And then I take my mail that I have in the house, put it in the mailbox. The mail bin, letter bin. That I will get to eventually, but at least it keeps it contained and it's not just a pile of papers thrown on my dining room table. Another thing is my husband would always lose his wallet and ear pods. When he would walk in the house, he would throw it somewhere on whatever closest surface there would be, and then they would disappear, and then he would be looking for them in the morning. Where are my AirPods? Like freaking out. So I created a little bin right next to the door, attached it to our piece of furniture right next to the door. And if he forgets to put it in there, I put it in there. If I find his wallet or earpods, if he finds his wallet or earpods, he puts it in that bin so he knows exactly where it is. So we fixed the problem that he was having by putting something right where you walk in the door, as well as the keys. There's hooks right there. You don't put your keys on the table, you hook it right as you walk in, and that has actually completely solved our problem from losing our keys. Another spot that I noticed clutter was my back door. There was always a pile of shoes because all of my shoe storage is by our front door. And the kids would go outside, they would come in, take their shoes off, and then forget it to bring to the shoe storage in the front door. So I put a bin by our back door with a lid so it doesn't look messy. But basically, the kids would walk in, throw their shoes in the bin, and eventually if we have to move them, we can move them to the front, but at least it's a decluttered spot in the meantime for them to go. Yeah, so bins. I have bins by my bedroom side table, by my husband's bedroom side table. When I find his slippers, when I'm putting stuff in the room that are his and I don't know where it goes, I put it in his bin. And we all know that eventually we will get to the bin and I will put the stuff away from the bin. But in the meantime, it's a place to drop things so things don't look cluttered and crazy. It's all about the bins. Okay, second thing was for my kids' school calendar. I am the type of person, I'm very artsy, I'm very creative, and I always loved the idea of having a physical calendar. There's so many physical agendas and calendars I have bought over the years because they were cute, and I was like, this time I'm gonna stick with it, and I never have stuck with it because it takes too much effort. First, for me to remember to bring my calendar with me. And second, when I'm in the middle of something, to take it out and fill in the spot in the calendar. I need something quick and instant so that I can put it in and then move on. So when it comes to my kids' school activities, I used to try to put I would go to Hobby Lobby, I would get a cute chalkboard with a calendar, and I'm like, I'm gonna write all of the things that they have to do and their gym days and their library days and everything that they have to bring into school that day on this pretty little calendar and put it on my fridge, and it will look so cute and fit in with my decor. Wrong. It never worked because I'd always say, I'm gonna fill out the calendar today, and I would never do it. I would get busy, I would get distracted, and that beautiful calendar would just sit there on my fridge, never filled out, and I would forget dates and stuff all the time. So that cheapy little calendar that they send home with your kid each month with the special days and the days off from school and the lunch food that they're giving, that calendar is on my fridge. And I'll tell you what, I haven't missed a pajama day. I haven't forgotten about a day off from school or any kind of meeting because it's already filled out on that paper. I put it in a little lamination sheet that's taped on my fridge, and every month I just put a new one in. And if I have to add something to the calendar, I can, but the calendar is already filled out for all the important things, and I never forget things because of that. So it was a simple, easy solution. No, it doesn't look as pretty, but it works for me. And that goes for the same thing with physical calendars for myself. I actually bought this really adorable agenda, and so obviously I still have this problem. This adorable agenda, a tiny one, I bought 3 months ago. I haven't opened the thing once. I don't know where it is because in my mind, I think I'm gonna be this calendar girl person, and I'm not. So I just need to get over that and use my phone. I have tried to avoid becoming like a technology phone person because that's not who I am naturally, but it really does help for people with executive functioning, organizational issues, because I will put things in my reminders list all the time to set off alerts to remind me to do things, as well as my calendar for making a doctor's appointment or something. I'll just throw it in the calendar, forget about it, but that has been so helpful to me because it'll alert me that day, oh, you have this going on today. You can even put in reminders, look at your calendar, and it will alert you that morning, look at your calendar. I'll put alerts, simple alerts, like call the oil company for deliveries, call this person about Isla's doctor's appointment, call this person about the water testing you're getting done next week, because I will literally forget to do that kind of stuff until the day is over or something reminds me, and then I'll be like, oh, I forgot to do that. So just use it. Use your technology to help you out. If you're a forgetful person, put it in there. And when I see the alert go off, even though my brain is like, I really don't want to make that phone call, that stresses me out, having to make phone calls. I'm like, the alert went off, Devin, be an adult and make this phone call. And I always feel better after the fact. So use your phone for calendar type things. It really is helpful. And along with that, auto pay. I have to put a lot of our bills on auto pay because I will literally forget the day that a bill is due. That's happened many times, and forget to pay it. So years ago, we figured that out, put everything on auto pay, and you could put on alerts when the money is coming out in your calendar on your phone, so you're aware of that, but at least it's on auto pay and it's done. I also do that with like library books, put an alert, it's due back this day, this week. Otherwise I'll forget and I'll be paying overdue library bills out the wazoo. Next thing is a bin for keepsakes. So my kids come home with arts and crafts stuff constantly from school, and if it was up to them, they would keep every little paper. So first of all, I'll throw the ones away when they're not looking, the ones that I know aren't gonna matter that I kept. But art projects that they're proud of, little things that they brought home that they were excited to show me, drawings, paintings. I have a giant bin, Tupperware bin in my daughter's closet, and I will leave them out for a little while on our bulletin board, and then I'll just put them in the bin. And eventually I'm gonna have to go through the bin and figure out what I'm gonna do with them, but at least I know they're in a safe place until I figure that out. They're up away in the closet, and I kept the special things that are important to them. I mentioned a bulletin board just now, but I forgot to mention that earlier. Next to the calendar, I also have a bulletin board on the fridge where I will just put important papers that they send home from school that I don't want to get lost, because they probably will if I don't do that, or homework that they have due in a few days. If I pin it on the bulletin board, it will remind me to help them with it, because otherwise I'll forget. Out of sight, out of mind. That is my problem. If something is out of sight, I will forget about it. So a bulletin board on the fridge is super helpful as well. Or if you just have magnets on your fridge. My fridge is not magnetic, so I can't do that. So I have to put things like bulletin boards on my fridge because magnets won't stick to my fridge. Okay, establish a morning and evening routine to pre-set up the night before. And what I mean by that is I'm not a morning person. I have very terrible time management skills. And I drive my kids to school in the morning. So I set myself up for success the night before, and I'm not always perfect to reset my house and everything's pristine when we go to bed. That's not always true. Most nights I'll do the dishes before bed. Most nights I'll try my best to kind of reset the house, but it's never 100%. That's just the fact of my life. But I do always set up my kids for school for the next day. I pick out their clothes down to their underwear and their socks, set it out in the same spot every morning, as well as I pack their lunches the night before. I set out their jackets and shoes and water bottles the night before, all in the same spot. So in the morning, they have to get up, put the clothes on that we already picked out. I'm not running around looking for socks. You know who you are, because I do the same thing. Socks are the vein of my existence. They're always gone and missing. So the socks are already picked out. They put on their clothes, eat their breakfast, take their lunchbox, put it in their backpack, and everything else is done. I also have, if you have a girl or a boy, because I actually have both of their stuff in this, I have a bin of hair supplies that I just have tucked in our hallway by our shoes, that when I have to do my daughter's hair, she's eating breakfast, I just take the whole bin out, do her little braids, whatever I'm doing for that day. It has wax in the bin. I throw my wax in my son's hair while they're eating their breakfast, take the bin, just put it away. Simple and easy, quick. So setting up that nighttime routine is really important. If you want me to do a whole video on that and show you exactly what I do, I can. Be flexible with meals. So everything I have read over the span of the 9, almost 10 years I've been a mom, I've always struggled with meal planning. Everyone in every article is like, you have to meal plan, you have to know what food you're gonna have every night that week, prep beforehand, and I would try so hard to be this organized mom, and it would never work out. I would always forget an ingredient. I would run behind on another task that day and not be able to start the dinner earlier like I had planned to. So I just realized that's not the mom that I am. And I came up with a list on my Pinterest of go-to meals that I know are quick, that my kids like, and I'm always rotating. I'll always add new things, but I can't be stuck to a certain day. Is taco day. This day I'm having mashed potatoes and brisket. This day I just make a list of 4 to 5 possible dinners that I'm gonna have that week, ingredients that I have that I might need, And I always have random quick dinners on the back burner, just in case. Things that you don't need to prep. Tortellini with some peas and some meatballs, something like that. Frozen meatballs I keep in the freezer. Stuff like that, that if I'm running behind that day and I really don't have time to make the dinner that I planned, I can whip something up super fast that is decent and that I know the kids like. So always have like emergency meals in the freezer that you can have just in case. And when you plan out your meals for the week, usually I plan out probably about 4 or 5 meals, and the other meals usually end up being just like quick things that I'm throwing together. That just works best for our family. We try to sit at the dining room table at least 4 nights a week. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, just depending on the day and what time my husband's getting home. There's always chaos, but I try my best with that. But meals that you know the kids like, that is not gonna take you 17 hours to cook. Some moms are rock stars when it comes to dinner. They are great at preparing, having the food ready, knowing what ingredients they have to do or start or thaw. My brain just doesn't work like that. Maybe one day when my kids are older and everything is not chaos all the time, I'll be able to be that mom. But right now, it is what it is, and that works best for me. Another tip along with that is make lunch preparation easy for you. Like not even just lunch preparation, but just having ingredients that are quick and easy to grab that are pre-cut. And this sounds super lame, and I used to think it was lame that people would buy pre-sliced apples for their kids. I'm like, how hard is it to slice an apple? It's not hard, but it's just one more step to have to do at the end of the night, and I'm tired. So I buy the pre-sliced apples, sue me, like it's easier for me. Pre-sliced apples, pre-sliced fruit. Even for like cooking, I buy the pre-cut up garlic. That way I could just scoop some garlic and throw it in there instead of having to mince and cut up and, not mince, but chop up all the garlic before I cook it. It just honestly just makes my life easier and less stressful. So that is super helpful when making lunches for my kids. All I really have to do then is make their sandwiches, whatever they're having for that day, throw in some juice box, a couple of little snacky foods that they like, take the pre-sliced apples to make sure they have a fruit, throw it in there, and it's done. It takes me 10 minutes as opposed to 30 minutes if I had to sit there and like chop things up and make things from scratch. Easier, less stressful, the better for me and my brain. So yeah, that was all of the things that I had listed that have been super helpful to me in mom land of being disorganized. But again, like I said, there's never going to be a perfect system that doesn't have to be touched up or rebooted. That's just not realistic. Kids always take out toys. They leave stuff around the house. I just found a banana peel on the shelf in the kitchen because my daughter apparently ate a banana last night and didn't throw it out. My house is never going to be perfectly put together, and that's okay. I'm constantly having to reboot systems, to take toys and put them back to where they are, teach my kids to do that as well. And sometimes I don't put things in the right place right as I should, but constantly remind myself to do that and go back and take things and put them away. Constantly just rebooting the systems and the organizational systems that you have. I also wanted to tell you really quick, because I just heard my dryer go off and it reminded me, is I always had an issue with when I changed the lint out of my dryer, I would just take the ball of lint and put it next to my folding spot and be like, I'm gonna throw this out. And then I would forget to throw it out. And then there would just be a pile of lint that would catch up. I know that's gross, but that's just what happened next to my folding station. And I had this genius idea when I was doing my drop theory, when I was looking for like bins on all the drop spots where I made messes, and I saw this thing on Amazon. I'll try to link it below. It's like, and I'll video it for you. It's like this little thing that sticks to the side of your washing machine, and it opens and closes like a mini garbage can, that whenever I have like a dryer sheet or a ball of lint coming out of the dryer, I just take it and put it in my little mini trash bin, and when it gets full, I change it. It's fixed my issue, literally. I don't have any balls of fluff rolling around over there. So find your spots that are messy, find a solution for it in those exact spots where you make a mess. Apparently Apollo didn't agree with that. And if you guys have any tips that work for you guys, he sees a dog outside. If you guys have any tips that work for you guys and that you want to share, definitely leave that in the comment section below. And if you have any questions for me, also leave that in the comment section below. And I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.